Welcome to video 13 in the H4 plugins series. Lucky for some if you would like to understand and use the network presence detection features of H4 plugins. But first, please subscribe to the channel, click on the like button, click the bell icon to get notified, and support me on Patreon if you can. There's a link in the description below. Here we are in the live lab. If you haven't watched video 11, you need to, because it explains how the squawk box works. But very briefly, it's an alarm which only works in the dark. So there's a light sensor at the top, there's a little LED at the bottom that shows when it's armed, and when it goes dark it arms itself, and anything can then send an alarm event which will sound the alarm. Another feature of it is that behaviour can be overridden with an MQTT message. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to take an old phone of mine whose IP address is known, and we're going to do a network detection so that when that IP address is seen on the network, that MQTT message gets sent. Let us then have a look at that. There is the device sitting ready, unarmed because it's in daylight, and there's my ancient old phone waiting to be pressed into service. Just before we look at the code, let's look at the web browser for this device, because like all H4 devices, it can be controlled from the web UI. First thing we'll do, just to show you that everything's working, is I will block off the light switch sensor. And as you can see, the alarm now arms itself. Take it away. It disarms itself. I, however, can override that using the web UI, and I can say arm1, whereupon it arms itself. No surprises there. But I shall now return it to the unarmed state for the start of this test. So we will disarm it. It won't arm itself again until later tonight when it gets dark. However, let's get the browser out of the way. And now let's look at the code. Ignore the event lister thing. You should have seen that lots of times already. The only interesting thing here is we're using the function adapter for the presence event, and all that does is make sure that this onPresence gets called with whoever it was, the name of the device that's entering or leaving the network, and a boolean showing whether it's entering or leaving. So the obvious stuff is here that we connect to the Wi-Fi and the MQTT. There's no great surprises there. So the real core of this detector function is that we define a roaming device which is identified by IP. We give it a name. So I've called it Elvis, and I've got a fixed address on my phone of 31. Now then, bear it in mind that we want the alarm to arm when I leave the network, like I'm going out for the day, so the house is unattended, so I want the alarm on even in daylight. Obviously when I come back, I don't want all the alarms going on and off. So when it comes back in, I want to disarm. So we've got to put the opposite value into the arming message. All we do here then is display whether the device has entered or left the network, and then we publish the MQTT message arm opposite of what came in. So if it joins the network, we arm 0. If it leaves the network, we arm 1. Let's now see that working. And we will, just for fun, put the browser back up because I enjoy watching it. Here's my ancient old phone. Let's also put the com window up so we can see what's happening. So here's my ancient old phone. And what I'm going to do is switch off the Wi-Fi. And what you will notice that in the next detection cycle, excuse me, which can take up to about 30 seconds. We see that the Elvis has left the building message comes in, and obviously the alarm arms itself. Working in reverse then, let's put the Wi-Fi back on to simulate that it's coming back onto the network. And again, once that detection cycle has completed, we will see Elvis has entered the building and the alarm will disarm. So we will twiddle our fingers until that event gets detected. I think it's about 30 seconds, can't remember, user can change that. There we go, he's entered the building. You send the MQTT message, and providing the MQTT server is up, which it is, at some point, very shortly, the alarm disarms itself. And that is pretty much all there is to network detection. As always, thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, click the notification button and support me on Patreon if you can. Thanks, and see you next time.